Well, Mo, it's a mess.
It's great, man. It's great.
Well, I hope that my hand on my microphone is not affecting the sound here. It is good.
It's wonderful.
How is it? Now, this is an important question, and it's pretty good, in fact, except for all the stuff that's not.
I think it's going all right. Yep. Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There are a lot of letters left.
You betcha.
I'm glad you asked. Yes.
Big question. As a hobby, both Chris and I were in other careers. We're both sort of fed up with the day-to-day. Looked at the money and made a risk assessment in an Excel spreadsheet and did it. We made the jump, and it's been a pretty crazy ride ever since. So that's in a nutshell. We blew up our life.
Yes. I write with my guitar, and I also do beats and stuff on my computer or whatever other gear. Songs on my guitar, writing songs on my guitar. Sometimes I write them on the gear. So yeah, I do write music. I wrote a song just a little earlier that goes, "Today is another great day." But I haven't written the rest of it yet.
Yes, I make music in many ways. I don't write it down these days. I do a lot of recording. I do a lot of exploring, a lot of listening back to that and piecing it together in various ways.
You can't ask me to choose my favorite synthpop and industrial artist. It's like choosing your favorite child. I'll put it this way. If I list my synthpop acts that I love, I'm going to regret it because I'm going to forget the most obvious thing that's like my favorite band ever. So we'll just say, if it's synthpop, I love it. If it's industrial 90s, I love it.
I would say Robin is one of my really big ones. And also Yell. She's great. And I know she's technically not synth pop. We would call her R&B, but she's got some synthy poppy vibes to her. So SZA is a really big one for me too. For industrial, I'm definitely towing the line between industrial and techno when I say these, but Gorba from LA, Jaco from Berlin, and Oni Ayun, who I believe is also in Berlin. All very beautiful mixture of like hard and soft and dance and art music, which I really like.
My all-time favorite module is the Loquelic Iteritas Presido. I've actually had it and the smaller Loquelic Iteritas in my system for years, and every time I use them I feel like I'd find something new to do with them.
If we're looking at noise engineering modules, I'd probably say the Ruina. It is we put it in the distortion line, but it's sort of the anti-distortion or anti-filter. Instead of taking frequencies out, it adds frequencies, it adds harmonics, and it just sounds cooler than we ever thought it was going to when we've had the design on paper. And I just love that thing. I spend way too much time doing just the silliest modulations with it. It's so much fun.
I'll say the Mimetic Digitalis. It was my most complex demo I ever put together. Even to this day, I use it more than just a 16-step sequencer. I use it for gate triggers and complex clocking patterns and adjusting levels on a VCA. I can make 64-step sequences with like the Vice Versa sequential switch. That has been my favorite module to play.
My favorite module that I've worked on is the Melodus Versio. I had a lot of fun while we were developing it. I loved working on the panel, and it's one of those things that now that it's out, I just want to use it in every patch that I make.
If we're talking about non-noise engineering modules, I have to say that the most clever maker out there that I can think of right now is Winterbloom. And I mean, obviously the big honking button is just incredibly brilliant. A button that just makes a goose sound. I mean, obviously it does more than that, but out of the box, a goose? Come on. And the Castor and Pollux is just an incredibly lovely, beautiful oscillator, and something that is, in my mind, really tough to beat.
My favorite module that we don't make is probably the Surge Resonant Equalizer. On paper, it's pretty straightforward and simple. It only has a few controls and there's no CV really. But it just has this attitude, and whenever I run something through it, it comes out in a completely new and kind of amazing way.
It's sort of the backwards of what really happened, in that I had a module before I wanted to have a synth company. The first module that I prototyped and built existed well before any sort of notion of a company or brand or anything like that. And it was more of a lark to just be like, hey, I could sell this. Oh yeah, I need like a website and a company name and all this sort of stuff.
I think work-life balance is really important, and I think we're all really good at that. I really like to cook and play with my dog, and work on my own projects. I think those are the things that keep me sane, and spending time with my family too. I also think that having a lot of trust and respect for each other goes a long way, because without that, then none of it would really be possible at all. A lot of time is saved with trust and respect being a really big part of what we do and how we interact with each other. And also just having a really good sense of humor. That is really important.
Well, I'm working on the amazing part. I think we're all amazing. I really do. I studied cello for a huge amount of time. I spent about 12 years of my life playing cello about 8 hours a day. And then I've played most days ever since then. I studied in a conservatory, and then after that, a few years later, I studied in engineering school. But it's mostly just being in the room with people that are smarter than me in something, and I try to learn from it.
We don't tend to talk about things before they're released, because when we've done that in the past, we've realized that things can't actually be made, or we hit delays and we disappoint a lot of people. So we try to not do that anymore. So we're not making any promises at this point. I can tell you that a Confundo Funkitus version 2 is not currently on the roadmap. We've talked a lot about the VI and the delays that we've had. We're working on that. We're trying to get that out. We do want to get that out to you. We have lots of other things coming. And as soon as we have processors, we'll be making things for you.
I'm still going to go with the lange-pearson Preciso patch I did a couple years ago. I mean, some people are still putting that in their patches today. In fact, I saw one a couple days ago from File Transfer Protocol. Just blew my mind.
This is something we've talked about quite a bit. We want to release a system as soon as we can, but of course there are some hurdles that we have to overcome anytime we want to release a new product these days. Making a system is a bit different than making a new module, as it has to be a complete instrument all by itself. There are a few things that are missing from our product line that we really want to develop before we put a new system on the market. But that said, there are quite a few jams on our social media and across the internet using only noise engineering modules. So if you need a noise engineering system right now, you can definitely put one together and make some incredible music.
John, you're not the only person to ask this, so we're going to answer this here, even though we answered you on Facebook as well. Lots of people asked this, and the answer is no, unfortunately. We chose, back in the day when we made the MD and several modules that are in that same line, we chose a processor for that is really hard to update. In fact, you need special equipment to do it. That's pretty expensive. It's really hard to do. So we don't offer field updates for that. We have stopped using that processor, and we're moving toward things that are more updatable for the future. But for things like the MD and some of the older stuff, it's not possible, unfortunately.
I would say most of the ideas we have don't take off or don't take off in their original intended or conceptualized form, just for the fact that most ideas aren't perfect or great or even good. And, just going through a lot of ideas and then combining bits and pieces of this one and that one is how you actually get the best ideas. I literally have hundreds of half-baked, mediocre to horrible ideas in notebooks that are, just practice for thinking about this stuff.
Personally, I'm not a big fan. If a parameter should be changed, then it should probably be on the front of the module, especially if it changes how a module sounds. That said, in a more set and forget context, it can make sense sometimes to put something on the back. For instance, on our Lapse the Sauce module, you can change the direction of the faders by flipping switches on the back. But to do that, you'd be changing the orientation of the module in your case anyway.
Yeah, that would be me. And I'll take a Modern Times Hazy IPA because they don't have them here on the East Coast, and I really miss them a lot.
My perfect Sunday involves sleeping in, having something exciting to make in the kitchen, whether it's utilizing a crock pot or a pie dish or both. And some snuggles with my dog and a walk.
Getting up early, having a nice jog or hike with my wife, grabbing a deli sandwich, and then building this massive generative patch.
Not doing anything is my perfect Sunday these days.
First off, not all Sundays are equal. Sundays in autumn are the best kind. Generally, you want to start with a good breakfast. French toast is the best, but waffles or pancakes are acceptable as well. And then you should spend the rest of the day talking to as few people as possible and making as many noises as you can on as big of a synthesizer as you can get your hands on. And don't forget to have some wine in there too.
I like to take a long walk with my wife. I like to sit down with the cat on my lap, read a good book. I like making music, maybe play cello for a while, play with a modular, something like that.
Probably not doing this.